Daniel Cormier, what is he up to, guys? Daniel's been very interesting lately. Daniel was just in town. I did a camp. I went in on Friday, but the same camp, Daniel was there on Tuesday. Then Daniel had to get a plane, leave the camp, and go out to his kids in Fargo, of which he now has a junior national champion at 195 pounds. So congratulations to that young man, to Gilroy, and to Coach Daniel. But in the meanwhile, he said a few interesting things. I mean, Daniel started in on something out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere. Friday of last week, where Daniel laid out what would need to happen for him to return. I mean, that's how it all begins, right? The guy doesn't get the contract. The guy doesn't get a title opportunity. He doesn't get in shape and get down to weight. He doesn't get his paperwork in. He starts by telling the world, I'd like to come back. Then he sees what comes back to him. Is that what Daniel was doing? Daniel maintained that if he comes back, it has to be for a world championship. That's it. Don't even call me. There's not a world championship on the line. But then he went further to say, I can't fight for one at heavyweight. I'm not the guy. I lost to Stipe. I lost to Jones. They're still there. They get to go. I'm over here. So don't put me at heavyweight. However, I would qualify to walk right back in at light heavyweight. The reasoning is I didn't lose. I gave the belt back. That's true. That is true. Dana was about to take the belt off him. And it was a really big deal to Daniel, and it still is to this day, that he was not stripped. He did not lose, but also he was not stripped. He gave the belt back, and I happened to be there. I was sitting with Ariel Helwani. Dana's about to go to a press conference and take the belt. We're at the press conference to cover it, where Dana's going to go on stage and take the belt off him. Daniel relinquishes the belt through the media via Ariel Helwani 5 minutes before Dana took it. And it was true. Dana heard about it. Dana went up. He did not say I'm stripping him. He said Daniel has relinquished the belt. It's true. Big deal in that word. You might not understand it, and I don't know that I fully do either. But it mattered to him. And it matters to him to this day, and now he's actually pulling it out. Saying, I didn't lose that belt. They didn't take it from me. I gave it back. I was never beat. I come back today, I walk into a world title fight because it's my title. I'm in. I mean, I can't beat that. Can you guys? I can't beat that logic. And I also know he's not trying to maneuver and get himself something, because Daniel getting down to 205 pounds, in shape in the best of times, difficult to do. Retired and going to come back to, I mean, nearly impossible? Truly? I mean, if you use history as your trajectory for the future, it's Daniel can't make weight. But it's the weight class that he put himself at. Now, is he just having fun? Maybe. But he made a very compelling case. He crossed his T's and dotted his I's, which also lended a little bit of sincerity to it. Now, I would not predict this for you, because it's the opposite business that Dana's in. Dana just doesn't bring guys back post certain age. It just doesn't happen. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule. Daniel just got done, guys. That might sound like forever. The big bear retired. It wasn't that long ago. It just wasn't. Now, what is he doing there? I don't have a final analysis for you. I don't know that he got the reaction that he was hoping for. I know it got us talking. There's a lot of Daniel fans out there. Having new parity and new fun at 205 pounds. There's something there. Hell yeah, there is. Hell yeah, there is. But he didn't get a response from the division. He did not get Jan Blachowicz, who should have come in and said, shut your mouth before I shut it for you. He should have. These guys should have puffed up like you've never seen. Anytime you're protected and don't have to do so, he should have puffed up. Jan Blachowicz is already disqualified from the very criteria that Daniel put out, because he's not the champion and Daniel's come back for a championship match. But it's one of these things. Jan should have come. He should have buried him. He should have buried him right there. Does Jan not understand that Daniel just fired the first shot? He just fired a shot to take an opportunity away from you. You're not going to be pissed. That's not personal. Guys tell me sports shouldn't be personal. Goddamn world are you living in? It's extremely personal. Jan had a shot fired and did nothing. Probably didn't even see it the way that I just said it. Yuri Prohaska just got called out by a 43-year-old. Gonna let that slide? Prohaska's already trying to do business with a 42-year-old. What's the difference if he goes the other way? Adds a year to it. I mean, all of these guys were under attack. They should have fired back. And I'm just wondering where Daniel's going with that. I know when I spoke to Daniel, and this was a period of time ago, this is after he had fought Stipe. He had officially retired, but Jon was the champion, and Daniel dropped something in the media. Yeah, I'm retired, I'm done. Wait, no world championship at 205. Sure, get me interested. He set it down and walked away, but then I spoke to him. He said, no, I was serious about that. He said, going with Blachowicz, I like that style, I like that matchup. And he was serious. But he'd already retired, so you know what I mean, it was one of these weird things where maybe if Dana could turn the clock back, he might have grabbed him. I don't know. But he didn't. He didn't grab him 2 years ago when he was fresh and hot. So I don't believe they're going to do that now. But I'm just wondering the sincerity of Dana, because it never gets out of your head, guys. Never. I get something more than anything. I get something called Olympic fever. Every 4 years, I do a comeback in my head. I get the whole thing. Get my workouts over here at the high school, get in shape to go out to Clackamas. Once I get in shape at Clackamas, I'm going to go to Oregon State, join the RTC, get a few good months. I mean, I do it every time. It has not been realistic for decades. Do it every time. And maybe Daniel's just living some of that, and he did it in front of him. I'm just asking the question, where was he on that? Why did Blachowicz and Glover and anybody else with a heartbeat not take that opportunity? Not come out and blast him. It's not because they're gentlemen at all. Because they didn't see it as an opportunity. They didn't see it as a shot. They didn't see it a punch in their face. They didn't see somebody trying to swoop in and take everything that they had earned, which is exactly what it was. So you don't have a fight. You don't have a fight. You got no back and forth. We got no reason to do it. All right. Daniel, though, I want to stay on the topic because he's talking about Jon Jones again. And Daniel just said, I just read this interview. It's great. He said, I'm still talking about Jon. I'm not over Jon. I'm never going to be over Jon. The guy's a cheater. And there does appear to be something that has just stuck with him. Why is that? I don't think it was because he lost a fight. Lost a fight to Stipe. He didn't have that for Stipe at all. Daniel had his heart ripped out on ESPN back in the year of 2001 when he lost a match to Chael Sonnen for the NCAA championship, the last match of his career. There's anyone you want to win, it's your last one. Hadn't said Chael's name since. Didn't come back, didn't come look for him, had opportunities in freestyle, changed the way everything was cool in the gang. So I only share that with you. He's not a poor sport. It's not as though he's never been beat. He doesn't know how to handle himself. There was something about the Jon match. And maybe it is just as simple as the steroids. Maybe it is. But there appears to be something there, and I like it. I'm into it. I'm into a guy that doesn't let a grudge grow. I'm into a guy that all of your losses matter, all of them. I don't care when it was. I like that. I like a competitive edge. There was one, Joe Frazier. Okay, so it was Muhammad Ali. It was 1996. The Olympic Games are in Atlanta on American soil. So they pass the torch, they do this whole gimmick, and the last person they hand it to, and nobody knows this is going to happen. We're all watching live. The last person they hand the torch to that then goes up and lights the Olympic flame is Muhammad Ali. I mean, it was an honor that he was asked. It was a wonderful moment when he did it. And they asked Joe, Muhammad Ali, remember he had the Parkinson's, so it was hard for him, but he wanted to do this. He wanted to do this for his sport. He wanted to do it for the country. He wanted to do it for the games. Yes, there's some pride and some ego involved. You're in front of the world, but it was different. Muhammad Ali was trying to get back. It's just a great moment. It's a beautiful, iconic picture. They're in the dark of night in beautiful Atlanta. The moon and stars are out. So you have this dark background instead. You have this incredible energy of tens of thousands of happy people. Right, the Olympics is very different than a football game. The football, you take beer out of the stadium, no one's watching that crappy sport. Or any of them for that matter. They're only there to get drunk. But you go to the Olympics, it's totally different. This is an actual sportsmanship style crowd that is actually there to see sport. And Muhammad Ali lights the torch. It's just a beautiful moment, guys. 1996, I remember perfectly. They asked Smokin' Joe Frazier about that moment. Now, Joe Frazier had been in the ring with Muhammad Ali since, and this is literal, before I was born. I don't know exactly when they're in there. I think it was the late 60s. If I'm wrong, it was the early 70s. I just know I wasn't alive. They asked Joe Frazier about that moment. He said, I wish I could have been up there with him. I go, oh, that's beautiful, Joe. You know, you do deserve some of that shine. What a beautiful moment. It's going to help him. He said, I wish I could have been up there with him. And if I was given the opportunity, I'd have pushed him into that flame. One of the last things Joe Frazier's ever said, rest his soul. It is the last public thing that I know of that he said. And as dirty and nasty as that is, there's a competitive part to it that I do respect. Those things don't go away. They don't go away because you were in the 6th grade when it happened. They don't go away because you were a junior in high school. They don't ever go away. Not to the true competitors. Find out that Daniel is still upset about it. Daniel still wants the record clear that he did not lose that title and he was not stripped. He relinquished it. To watch him bring that little fun fact out all these years later. And then to listen to him talk about returning to the division where he belongs, laying his case out. It's interesting. There's something happening here. Is there steam? Is there opportunity? If he actually got called on this by Dana White, does he actually accept? I don't have the answers to these questions. And I can tell you it comes and goes. Your days of motivation of one more time, but they do go as well. All of a sudden, that ice cream sundae and staying up a little late, right? All of a sudden, that starts to look pretty good, too. The weather's out. You don't want to go to play. Think about going to the pool. I mean, there's two sides to it. I can just tell you where the big bear's at right now. Not to mention his competitive juices. Not to mention he's got his first ever junior national champion. It's a great week for Daniel Cormier, but I don't want you guys to miss this. There's something here. He is teeing this up. It's not his move now. He doesn't come out and lay that out, then he comes on the back of it and lays it out again. That's not how this works. He lays it out one time. He sees what you guys do with it. So I'm asking you, what do you want to do with a potential return by Daniel Cormier?